What's going on, guys? Sorry, I know I'm about 15, 20 minutes late. I'm currently not in New York. I'm in Pennsylvania. So I'm streaming from my phone. And yeah, so a lot of moving parts, lot of things going on. But I'm not going to be on live for too long because I actually have a lot of things to do. But I wanted to come on live. It's a slow boxing weekend, not much going on. You got that cruiserweight fight. Brady's is fighting. I'm not too big into the cruiserweights, to be honest with you, to even pretend and lie like I know what's going on in that fight. The week after, we have, Mark Messiah versus Ray Vargas with Frank Martin on the undercard. So for those of you who love the featherweight division, you guys have a featherweight championship fight coming up there. Also, by the way, speaking of the featherweight division, Emmanuel Navarrete signed a 3-year contract with Top Rank. So that's boxing news that came out today. Also, what other boxing news? It's pretty much all I have to report as far as what I've heard. But yeah, boxing is well and alive, even though we have a slow weekend this weekend. We're coming off of Bam's fantastic performance this past Saturday against Ruiz. Also, on the undercard, you had MJ Akhmadaliev make a defense and, take care of his mandatory and Ronnie Rios. We're hoping to see an undisputed fight between him and Fulton. If, we don't get, but honestly, the way boxing almost never works out the way it should. And sometimes it's not even the sport's fault. But I'll just get the perfect way for that undisputed fight to happen between MJ Akhmadaliev and Steph Fulton is for that fight to happen, right? The winner of Inouye Butler, which is also for undisputed at 118. So then we all know it's going to be Inouye. And then Inouye moves up. So it'll be coming from an undisputed fight at 118 to undisputed at 122. That would be absolutely amazing. Also, what would make that so cool is that there's a lot of interest amongst the Japanese fan and Inouye himself. They've been talking about it on Twitter. Good thing about Twitter is that a lot of times when tweets come at you or when you see tweets and they're in a different language, you just click on it and then you can translate the tweets. And there was a lot of tweets I was coming across that was talking about the fight between Stephen Fulton and Inouye. And to be honest, I'm hard-pressed to think of a fight that I would be more excited for. Maybe with the exception of Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. That's a fight, obviously. Excuse me. I would be super-duper excited for it. That, which would be also an undisputed fight in the welterweight division, though. But barring that fight and barring, I guess, the heavyweight championship fight, undisputed, but that seems unlikely to happen anytime soon. The Inouye fight versus Stephen Fulton, that seems more makeable and more, probable. And so that's a fight that I will be super, super, super excited for. And one that I hope happens. It's very, very very seldom I get excited for a fight under 130. You know what I'm saying? But no, that fight qualifies as a fight that I would be very excited for. Inouye versus Stephen Fulton. But yeah, no, I'm loving the landscape of boxing. Boxing is in a great space. Last year, I called that this year was going to be a great year, and it has not disappointed. This year has been a great year for boxing, and we're just getting to the, it's just the middle. We're only at the halfway point. What's today? June 28th? Hold on, let me check the June 29th. Today is June 29th. Come on, man. And we already have a bunch of undisputed fights or unification fights, knockout of the year type performances, fight of the years, type performances. And it's only midway, and we can still possibly get, Stephen Fulton versus MJ. We can still possibly get, the winner of Usyk AJ versus Fury. We can still possibly get, Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. These are all fights that are realistically possible that could happen before the year ends. So I honestly can make you can make the argument, and I haven't lived or every year of boxing's existence, but since I've been alive, since I've been watching the sport and following it closely, you can honestly make the case that this is the best year in boxing history if everything plays out. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we do get the Fulton and MJ. We do get the Usyk AJ winner versus Fury. We do get Crawford versus Spence, and let's say we get Tank versus Ryan too. Yo, like I'm telling you, there's a lot of fights lined up that, and a lot of them are realistic. Not all of them are just this pie in the sky bullshit. No, a lot of them are realistic that could happen this year. Muhammad, what's up, my brother? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Currently not in New York. Excuse me. Currently not in New York. I'm currently in Pennsylvania, but I'm doing well. That's why I don't got my normal setup. I wouldn't, and what's messed up? I had a guy. I'm not gonna mention who. I had an interview lined up, and then it got canceled. This was for Monday, and then he had an emergency, and then he hits me up today, like, oh, can you do it today? And I'm like, damn, I'm away from home. I don't want to do it not my normal setup. So I'm trying to set it up for Saturday. He hasn't gotten back to me, but hopefully I could get that interview set up. It's going to be a good one, especially my Dominican followers. Yeah, definitely going to enjoy that one if and when I interview this person. But yeah, man, talk to me, Muhammad. What's up? You confident your boy AJ going to win against Usyk? Are you confident, buddy? How do you feel about him training with Robert Garcia? I actually like him picking Robert Garcia. Robert Garcia is an offensive trainer. I think AJ's style is just offensive, and he kind of got away from it once he got knocked out. It's been a little bit too cutesy and too boxy, and I'm not saying you can't box, when you got that kind of height and that kind of skill. He's a skillful fighter. It's okay to use your skills. I feel like he's a fighter. Like, he likes to come forward. That's how I became a fan. And that's why I always picked him against Wilder. Back when that fight was brewing, when they were both undefeated, when AJ had 3 of the belts, Wilder had 1 of the belts, I used to say AJ would win. I used to be like, yo, AJ's gonna win. I don't know why y'all even arguing it, but he got knocked out, and it's just like he's never been the same. Like, yes, he did get his win back against Ruiz, and he had a couple wins. He beat Pulev, and he beat a couple other guys. Did he fight Joseph Parker after that? I don't remember. But there was a couple guys he's fought, just didn't look the same. It didn't look like the same AJ. And I think Robert Garcia is somebody who could bring that back out of him. And if we could get the AJ from 2016, 17, the Wilder, the AJ that fought Klitschko, I forget what year it was. If we could get that guy back, man, the heavyweight division is in trouble. And I'm including Fury. I don't give a fuck what Fury comes out. If you telling me the AJ that fought Klitschko is the same AJ that's gonna come out and fight on against Fury, I'm picking AJ. But that's the thing. I don't know. I can't be that confident that he's gonna do that. I can't be confident that he's gonna perform to the best of his ability. I can't. He's too up and down for me. I'm not that confident, but I really hope he wins, and I really like that Robert Garcia is training him. I mean, I honestly, it's best for boxing that he wins, and I'm leaving all that war stuff that what the Ukraine is going through. I'm leaving that to the side, because if you want to put it from that perspective, then yeah, it is better that Usyk wins. He does it. Maybe that could uplift the country or something like that. But I'm putting that aside. I'm talking about monetarily. I'm talking about the optics of the sport and stuff like that. A handsome guy like AJ, who would be fighting Fury for undisputed, another UK fighter, you know, for undisputed. Like, that's good for the sport. That's good for the sport. And I do like that. I do like that the British have been producing heavyweights. And the reason I say that is because they speak English. It's a culture America is somewhat familiar with. So when these guys become champion, it's not the same like when the Klitschko's were champion. You know what I'm saying? How a lot of American fans didn't quite understand their style, and they didn't quite understand their culture and just the way they went about things, as opposed to, when the champions are from are British, they're somewhat familiar as to, the culture, as well as, again, the language. There's no language barrier. Not that the Klitschko's didn't speak English, but you know what I mean. But yeah, the heavyweights, honestly, I like this landscape of heavyweights. You got Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker's still a player. Wilder's coming back, Andy Ruiz. Jared Anderson is a prospect who I'm really, really high on. I thought he was prospect of the year last year. Jalalov, the heavyweight. I didn't like his last performance he had on Showbox, I'll be honest, although he did get the stoppage. I just didn't seem particularly entertaining, but he's somebody who went into Olympics and looked really good in the Olympics. Won gold, beat Richard Torres in the Olympic finals, and also he had knocked out Richard Torres in a different amateur fight. I believe it was in the World Series of Boxing. He knocked him out, like out. So he's somebody who got power, and again, he only has, I believe, 11 fights or something like that. So he has time to develop into something, worth watching. But the heavyweight division is in a good space, and again, I'm really high on Jared Anderson. So for us Americans, we're wondering who's the next great American. I think, I'm not saying he is going to be, but he definitely has the potential. He's big. I believe he's like 6'5", 240. So he's a big heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? And he's only like 22. So you 240 at 22, imagine when you're 27, 29. Like, that dude is going to be really, really big. What's your thoughts on Joe Joyce? I personally think he gets hit too much and is slow, and is too slow, but he's got a good chin and has power. I tend to lean more like how you see it. He seems kind of robotic, and I don't mean robotic in the sense like very 1, 2, 1, 2. No, he just seems robotic in the sense like slow but effective. I have to explain it, but I'm not too high on that, man. I'm not too high on him, And yeah, it's good. You got a good chin. All that's cool for now, but when AJ's tagging you up, or Wilder's tagging you up, and as of late, I want to say Fury, because Fury got 2 stoppages against Wilder, and he stopped White, so he's also somebody who's developed his power. It's like it's a different type of ball game. You know what I'm saying? And especially with Fury and Joshua, who both got boxing skills. So even if your chin could withstand the power, which I don't think it could withstand AJ's power, you coming forward, I don't think AJ. No way, no man can handle just AJ's power just walking through it. I don't believe that. But let's just say you can. Both AJ and Fury have enough boxing skills to get away from you and outbox and outpoint you. So I'm not too high on Joe Joyce. With the landscape of the heavyweights the way it is, I don't ever see him becoming a heavyweight champion. That's no disrespect, but that's just my opinion, man. Yeah, that's how I see Joe Joyce. But I mean, to be fair to Joe Joyce, I did pick Daniel Dubois to beat him. So, do I just not see his talent? I don't know. It could be that. I just don't see how good he is. because I didn't see it against Daniel Dubois, and Daniel Dubois ended up quitting. You remember? He got hit in the eye. His eye was all swollen, and then he just literally took a knee and got counted out. So I don't know. But yeah. Light heavyweight landscape is also interesting with Beterbiev and Bivol both at top. I don't think that fight ever happens just because both are not necessarily a big draw, although both are great fighters, and it would be a very entertaining, undisputed match. Bob Arum has expressed that he's not interested in doing business with DAZN, and that, all his fighters fight on ESPN and this, that, and the third. And I don't see DAZN letting Bivol go after giving him a Canelo fight, possibly 2 Canelo fights, and then going, all right, yeah, go to ESPN and fight for Undisputed on their network. I don't see that happening. So that's the landscape of how I see light heavyweight. Although I would love that match, and I probably would favor Bivol, I'll be honest with you. Although I do definitely would. I'm not going to dismiss Beterbiev chances, Yard is going to fight Beterbiev next. I personally think he's going to get destroyed. I think everybody knows he's going to get destroyed. I mean, from what I understand, that fight is actually going to be in London. I'm not sure where in the UK you are, Muhammad, but from what I understand, that fight against Yard is going to be in London, and they're going to fight each other there because, if we're being honest, Beterbiev is not that big of a draw. I was at his last fight, Joe Smith versus Artur Beterbiev. I was at his last fight. There was little to no Russians. I ain't seen not one Russian flag. And then he got booed. He got booed when he came out. The crowd was cheering like crazy when Joe Smith came out. So those fans were there to see Joe Smith. And I'm sure there were fans like me who just came out just to see a good fight. But the grand majority were rooting for Joe Smith. So I believe the fight, he'll go to London. In London, I mean, in the UK in general, in the UK, people know boxing out there. So Beterbiev's name probably should be buzzing out there just off the strength that he's a 3-belt unified champion and a very good fighter. And then and Yard is obviously from the UK, somebody who I believe is a good enough talker to sell the fight. So I believe the fight sells good out there. And it also helps Beterbiev get his name up internationally, especially if he goes out and destroys Yard the way I think he is. Like if an older Kovalev could beat Yard, imagine what Beterbiev. And I'm not saying Beterbiev is young, but he's definitely fresher than what the version of Kovalev that stopped Yard. But I want to give Yard credit though. Yard is a good fighter. I'm not saying he is just, right now Beterbiev is strong, man. Like I heard those punches live, man. When he was pounding on, particularly those last 2 uppercuts he hit Joe Smith with. Man, those were some vicious uppercuts. And yeah, look what it did to him. It hurt him real bad. Really, really bad. So he's a really strong fighter. He's going to give anybody trouble who he goes in the ring with. Put it like this. I think he would have beat a prime Kovalev. I think so. I think he would have broke down Kovalev. Kovalev tend to get tired at the end of fights. And Beterbiev just seems to get better as the fight goes on, although his last fight was a second-round knockout. But in general, he tends to get stronger, I feel. Look at the Vazdev fight. The Vazdev fight, he was losing some of the rounds. Some people say he was losing a fight. And then come that 11th, 12th round, got the stoppage when in the championship rounds. So I see him doing that to like Kovalev, just going and stopping him, like kind of like that. But yeah, man. What other divisions I find interesting? Let's see. I mean, the lightweight division is definitely interesting. The only thing is weird is just how the pieces of the puzzle are kind of spaced out, Like we want to see Ryan versus Tank. Ryan's on DAZN, Tank is on PBC. They talk about splitting pay-per-views with DAZN and Showtime. That's what Oscar De La Hoya was talking about. Man, I believe it when I see it, man. And if you're not gonna send Ryan to Showtime, I don't see that fight happening. You know. Then you got Devin Haney, who's undisputed, but he fights on ESPN. You know, Tio moved up to 140, so that fight's not gonna happen. Loma's currently fighting the Russians and the Ukraine because he's at war. So it's like, who does he fight next? Obviously, he has a rematch close with George Kambosos, and we'll see if that fight happens or not. And let's just say it does. Is like, one, that's a fight that the fans are not interested in. Two, like, who does he fight after that? Is Loma gonna get back by then? I don't know. Yeah, it's just, again, it's a very interesting division. 135. It's just a lot of moving pieces, man. A lot of moving pieces. If I had to predict who Tank was gonna fight next, I think he's gonna fight Michelle Rivera next. That's somebody who's on the PBC side, somebody who's highly ranked in the WBA, who's been on my channel claiming that he's the WBA mandatory for Gervonta Tank Davis, which I don't see how that is, but whatever, that's something. So I think the stars are aligning for that fight to happen for Tank. So I would predict that would be his next fight. Devin, I think his next fight is obviously with George Kambosos due to the contractual obligation. And Ryan, I think his next fight after this is Jojo Diaz. They're both on Golden Boy. They both have a little bit of a rivalry. They trash talk each other on social media and stuff like that. So I think, though, and by the way, this is with the assumption that Ryan Garcia could beat Javier Fortuna, which I don't think is a gimme, but he's definitely favored, and he should be favored. I'm a Dominican, and I'm supposed to be biased against Javier Fortuna. For Javier Fortuna, but I'm also realistic. You know, he's the underdog, but he's the underdog for a reason. And but yeah, that's how I see the lightweight division playing out. You know, unfortunately, we want all these fighters to fight each other, but it's not. Sometimes it's not as smooth and as clear as we want it to be. KO Boxing breaking news. What up, Joel? What up, KO Boxing breaking news. Got any news to break? Break it in the comment section. But yeah, man. Man, I'm trying to get on my interview game more, man. That's one thing I really, really enjoy when I go live, when I get these interviews. That's what really like makes my blood boil, you know what I'm saying, and in a good way. And been having a lot of conversations, both with managers, multiple managers that have agreed to come on. Have had conversations with multiple boxers. Some, we haven't gotten it together just due to scheduling. Others, while just giving me the runaround. Like, I've been trying to get Subriel Matias on my show, right? And it's just been very difficult. That's all I'll say. I've been direct communication with him, but it's been very difficult. I really want Subriel Matias on my channel, man. It's really important to me, but we'll see. We'll see if I can get him on or not. Oh yes. KO Boxing breaking news. Thank you so much. Mikey Garcia retired. Wow. That's how I should have started my live, man. Mikey Garcia was probably my favorite fighter while I was in college, man. This dude was so sharp. He was amazing. He was a surgeon in the ring. I remember going to one of his fights. He fought Orlando Salido in Madison Square Garden in the Little Room in the Hulu Theater. And he beat the fuck out of Orlando Salido. Dropped him 4 times. And then I want to say it was in the 9th round. I could be wrong. 9th or 8th round. Orlando Salido headbutts Mikey Garcia. And Mikey Garcia breaks his nose. Robert Garcia then stops the fight because he realized that his fighter was fouled and he can't continue. And then the fight went to the scorecards. But before that foul, he was totally dominating Salido. It was easy work. Like, you would have thought Salido was a bum the way Mikey Garcia was handling him. He dropped him twice in the first round. And by like some easy, just quick left hooks, just boop, just walking him in. Then he dropped him later in the fight with like a vicious uppercut. Man, Mikey Garcia, he's a Hall of Famer. But I felt like, and I saw this tweet. I'm gonna give the credit. His name was Deuce, I believe, on Twitter. It's like Wrangler Rollins or something like that. But he said a comment that described Mikey Garcia's perfectly. He said, Hall of Fame career, but left a lot of meat on the bone. Meaning there were a lot of fights that he didn't get, whether it be through, promotional company issues or health issues or whatever. There was a lot of fights that he could have had, like, whether it be the Terrence Crawford at 135, Lomachenko at 130, Gamboa at 130. These were fights that could have been legacy-making fights for him. And unfortunately, he had a problem with Top Rank, and those fights couldn't happen due to that. But Mikey Garcia, man, I'm telling you, if you guys got nothing to do and maybe you too young and you don't remember Mikey Garcia, look at his career from 140 down, pretty much. The lower in weight you go, the sharper you're gonna see him. When he was at 126 and at 130, particularly those two weight classes, there was nobody even dreaming of beating him at that time. And there was a time where people were saying that Loma would beat him. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. He would have absolutely destroyed Lomachenko. Remember, this is my era. I got to make a video on this. But remember, when I speak about Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia, now you're talking my era. When you're talking Mike Tyson and Holyfield and Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, that's not my era. I know about that era. I'm very well researching that era, but that's not my era. My era, I lived through that era of Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko. Trust me. Mikey Garcia would have smoked Lomachenko. It wouldn't even been close. Like, trust me, dog. Trust me. Mikey Garcia was an animal. He had power, speed, timing, defense. What else did he? Yeah, he had everything. The only time I guess you could say he has a chin. He fought Errol Spence, prime Errol Spence at 147 and didn't even get dropped. The only time I seen him get dropped was against Rocky Martinez. And he just got caught with like a sneaky overhand right in the inside, and he got dropped. It's kind of like he walked into it a little bit. And he went on to beat the fuck out of Rocky Martinez and get the stoppage. So, Mikey Garcia, man, one of my personal favorites when I was in college. Again, him and Sergio Martinez were my favorite fighters in college. Him, Sergio Martinez, obviously, I guess Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao, you got to put aside. That's, those guys were obviously all-time greats. Probably never see a talent like those two guys ever again in my lifetime. But putting those two guys aside, I want to say Sergio Martinez and Mikey Garcia were my two favorites. And if you made me pick between them two, I'm picking Mikey Garcia. That was my personal favorite. I love Mikey Garcia, man. It's unfortunate he has to retire, but I think it's for the best. I don't think he loved the sport anymore. I don't think he wanted to prove he was the best. He was just in it for the money. And when you're just in it for the money, that's not enough motivation. This guy's out here grinding to be champion, running and hitting the punching bag and sparring and doing pull-ups and sit-ups and crying and waking up at 5 in the morning, making sure they put their miles in. Mikey Garcia, just seeing just the way his body was built, I know for damn sure he wasn't doing that. I know for damn sure he wasn't grinding in the gym like that. But, he called it a career, as he should. When your heart's not in it, it's better to get out before you get your heart broken, or your nose broken. This time not by a headbutt, not by Salido. Which, by the way, speaking of Mikey and Loma, and I'm going to make a video on this, he destroyed Salido, who beat Lomachenko. So let's remember that. Let's remember that. He destroyed the dude who beat Lomachenko. He absolutely toyed with. Like, this was easy work for Mikey. He could have beat him twice that day. So I just wanted to make that clear. Just make that clear, because that's a fight that I wanted to happen. It's one of those fights, you know, in boxing, how not all the fights you want happen. That was one of the fights. It's one of the fights I wanted to see back when they were both at 130. And didn't happen. But again, I know for a fact Mikey Garcia would have smoked that cat. I'm telling you. But yeah, man. Anybody wants to call in, just scroll all the way to the top. I since I'm doing it from my phone, I don't know if I could pin without cutting out. But yeah, scroll all the way to the top. You could click the link and we could have a conversation, man. Excuse the hair. A lot's been going on, man. A lot's been going on. I'm currently right now in Pennsylvania, not in New York. Not, you don't see the Dominican flag and Mike Tyson behind me. But yeah, anybody wants to call in, scroll all the way to the top of the chat, click that link. We can have a conversation, man. You can ask me anything you want. But yeah, man. Oh, hold on one second. All right, I'm back. All right, so guys, did you guys what are you guys' opinion on Danny Garcia coming back against Jose Benavidez at 154? I don't know how Danny don't look big enough for 54 for me. Like, he looks like, I don't know, like he almost just always looked like a 140 pounder to me. Even when he was at 147, he just looked like a 40 pounder. And now you tell me he's moving up to 54. They're going to be wearing 10-ounce gloves when in the welterweight division they're wearing 8s. And, Danny Garcia is not necessarily the most skilled boxer. He kind of relied on that looping left hook and fighting on the inside. And none of that shit's going to work against these big guys. Like, can you imagine he fought Castaño or Charlo? Like, what would happen to him? What's your opinion? What's your guys' opinion on Danny Garcia fighting at 154? Because I particularly don't like it. I think he should stay at 47 and fight these young guys. Or retire, man. He made a lot of money. I think that's why I'm leaning towards more. Like, he should just retire. He made a lot of money, right? Listen to this. He made a lot of money for just about every top welterweight with the exception of Crawford. Fort Thurman, lost. Fort Porter, lost. Fort Spence, lost. So you face all the top welterweights with the exception of Crawford, and I don't think anybody who's watching this or is going to watch this would pick you against Crawford. And now you're moving up to super welterweight. You're going to be fighting these big guys, and you expect me to think that you could win a title there? I have a tough time believing that. Danny Garcia, you had a good career. Just call it a day, man. You got a lot of money. I'll be seeing him on Instagram balling. He's married, got kids. Just call it a day, man. Call it a day. Karma, what's up? It's funny, Karma. I'm actually not in New York right now. I'm in Pennsylvania. But yeah, shout out to my home state who. That's what we say. When you see your homie in the street, you go, But damn, my hair look crazy, by the way. Excuse me, guys. It's been a rough day, man. It's been a rough day. But talk to me in the comment section, man. Let me know. It's a slow boxing weekend. So if you guys want to ask me questions, whether it be about me or about boxing, you're more than welcome to, man. Because usually I'm on here discussing the fights coming up this weekend, but not much to sink my teeth in this weekend, unfortunately. By the way, Jake Paul, if you're watching this, I want to be your next fight, man. I want to be your next fight. I can make that cruiserweight limit, man. But yeah. So I'm gonna end this live, man. It's a short one. I wanted to go live just because, I go every Wednesday. Again, not much going on this weekend, and I got a lot of shit to do. But I'll holler at you guys. I'll probably be going live before next Wednesday. Before next Wednesday. Um, and I'll probably either go live Saturday. I'll probably go live. Matter of fact, I am gonna go live Saturday. I'm gonna go live Saturday, either with a guest or without, because I did hit up somebody who I think y'all will enjoy when I have him on. I hit him up about this Saturday. He hasn't gotten back to me whether that's a yes or no. But if it's a yes, this Saturday I have a guest, and if it's no, I'll just be going live just by myself. But all right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live. I know it's a short one, and I appreciate you guys every time showing up. All right, guys, until next time, peace.